everyone, it's Nina and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a kind of big book haul. These are all of the books that I got since September, and honestly this is a bit larger of a haul than I would like. Honestly, this amount is probably the amount of books I want to haul in the entirety of next year. But it's not just all books I bought. Some of these are library books as well as things I got for my birthday that was in November. So yeah, I just wanted to preface this video by saying that. Also, yeah, I haven't filmed a sit-down video in a while. I just took a little bit of a break because I wasn't super inspired, but now I want to continue making videos about the things that I like to watch myself, and I do like watching book hauls, so I figured this would be a good video to get back into the swing of things with. I think I'm going to start off with the manga and graphic novels that I got first. So the first set of manga that I got is the first 5 volumes of Ancient Magus Bride. I had already owned the first volume. I think I got it for Christmas, probably in like 2019, but I finally read it this year, so I decided to pick up more of the series to continue on. I really liked the first volume, and it actually made me cry, which honestly is really rare for me when I'm reading books. And I figured since it had such an emotional reaction to it that I would try and read more of the series. I'm going to read the synopsis of the first volume because it's only 2 sentences, and honestly I think it gives a really good description of what the entire series is like. So, her name is Chise Hattori, a penniless orphan troubled by visions. Sold as a slave to an inhuman mage, she is about to begin a strange new life filled with magic, fairies, and other beings of fantastical nature. And yeah, that's basically a really good summary of the plot. She's sold to this guy named Elias, who is a magus, and he's bought her for the purpose of training her to be a magician herself. But I think as part of the terms in which he bought her, she's technically his future bride-to-be, but they don't really have any romantic chemistry, at least in this book yet. I think it's going to develop as the series goes on and turn into a relationship not just out of obligation, but one of actual genuine love. The next graphic novel that I got is Bloom, and this one I got as an anniversary gift from my fiance. I got this in September, which kind of makes me feel like I missed the boat because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I really think this would be a perfect book to read in the summertime. The general plot summary that I know, it's about a boy who works at a bakery in a seaside town that is owned by his family, and all he wants to do is escape the town and move to the big city, but then a new boy moves into town and ends up working at his bakery, and they start a relationship. It just sounds really cute, and I really love stories that are set by the ocean because I really like the shore, and the whole vibe of living in a shore town is just so aesthetic, and I wish that I could have that life. So yeah, I really think this will be a great read for the summertime for me to pick up. Next, I'm going to move into the library books that I have out right now. 2 of these I have already read, the first one of that being She's Too Pretty to Burn. I first heard of this book from another booktuber's like most anticipated releases of 2021, and I was just so struck by the cover. I think it's so beautiful. And the plot of this book is that it's basically a sapphic retelling of Picture of Dorian Gray, except the aspects that they are focusing on in this retelling is the kind of art student angle, since obviously the picture in the Picture of Dorian Gray is a painting that is done of Dorian by his friend Basil. This book, I actually really was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I do think the writing was a little sparse, if that's a good description of it, but I felt the plot was really engaging and I liked all of the characters a lot. The next library book that I also finished is Plain Bad Heroines. This is another sapphic story that is kind of following 2 timelines. One is about a group of women that are running a all-girls school in the Victorian era, and the other timeline is following a group of women who are making a movie about a tragedy that happened at the boarding school. This book is definitely a little weird. I think if you liked a book similar to Bunny, this one has kind of similar vibes to it, especially in the kind of playing with the idea of what is real and what isn't. Oh, hi. Hi, Georgie. It's probably one of the bigger books that I've read this year, so it took me a little while to finish, but I really did enjoy my time with it. Okay, the next library book that I have here is The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. So around this time last year, I read The Monk by Matthew Lewis, and I really enjoyed it, and I was doing research on other gothic novels that I thought I would be interested in, and this one is written by Anne Radcliffe, and she wrote Mysteries of Udolpho, which is one of the other like Pantheon original gothic literature stories. And she wrote this book actually as a response to The Monk by Matthew Lewis because apparently she hated it, and this is kind of her take on the evil monk trope. And yeah, I'm just interested in seeing what the difference could be, and I hope I like this even though it's supposed to be very different than The Monk. But yeah, I don't really know a lot of the plot of this besides that it has an evil monk character the same way that The Monk does, so I hope this will be interesting. Okay, and the last library book I want to talk about is House of Hollow. The synopsis that I know of this book is that it is about two sisters who go missing in a forest when they're young and end up returning without any memory of what happened. And over time, their appearances have started to change. I think their hair has gone white and they've sort of become more animalistic in a way. And I think at one point, one of the sisters is now gone missing, so the other one is trying to figure out what has happened to her and see if this has any ties to what happened to them as children. There's a couple things about this book that really intrigued me. First of all, the cover is absolutely stunning. Another thing about it is that kind of reminded me of the Tanya French novel In the Woods, which has the opening plotline about being a boy who goes into the forest with his friends, his other friends go missing, and then he comes back without any memory of what happened. And that novel was really a disappointment to me because that isn't really the main focus of it. But this book actually seems like that is going to be a big driving force for the storyline going forward, so I'm really interested in seeing how it plays out. Okay, so the next set of books I'm going to be showing you are ones I got from thrift books. So the first one is Book of Atrus. This is one of the 3 Miss novels that are based around the video game series. I have the other 2, and I had originally owned this one and actually read it probably back in high school, but I absolutely cannot find my copy. I don't know if I gave it to my brother or gave it to my friend. I looked high and low at my parents' house and I could not find it. So I ended up just buying myself a new copy because I've only ever read this one and I want to read the other 2, but I figured I would need a primer to reread this one before I read the other ones. If you're not familiar with the video game, that's totally fine because the story is pretty self-contained. It's just kind of giving backstory about one of the main characters from that series. But yeah, I'll probably talk about this more in a future wrap-up series once I finish it, but I am enjoying it so far. The next book I got is So You've Been Publicly Shamed. This is the only nonfiction book that I got. From what I know about this book, it's talking about public shaming on the internet, but kind of does it in the context of the history of public shaming throughout human history. I think this concept is really, really good because I really like books that are about the internet, but a problem with them I find is that obviously, since the internet changes so quickly, a book that is doing research about the internet culture over the course of many years probably will become outdated by the time it's actually published. So I think a book like this is better because it's talking more about like the innate feeling of shame and sort of dealing with the human psyche and how that impacts the way that we deal with shame and public shaming in a multitude of different contexts, not just with the internet. So I think it could be used as a good reference book and tool going forward. Okay, I actually had another book from Thrift Book, but it actually got stuck in the distribution center in my city and I have not been able to get it out of there. I don't know if it's something with like the beginning of the holiday rush or whatever, but I finally put in like a missing mail report so I could get it back. But that is kind of context for the next book that I got. Basically, I started getting into audiobooks and I listened to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and I absolutely love it. I think it's probably my favorite book I read this year. If not of all time, I just had so much fun with it, so I wanted to buy a physical copy, and that is the book that I currently do not have with me. But I did, along with that, get the novella 1.5 sequel, which is The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky. So I read this already. It was a really, really quick read, and I thought it was so, so cute. I really just can't talk about how much I like Gentleman's Guide without getting extremely overly flustered. So I think I'll save that for another wrap up in the future when I talk about all of the books that I've read in the series. But yeah, this is really cute, and I'm glad that I managed to pick it up from thrift books. Okay, the next set of books are ones that I got when I went on a trip to Salem with my friends. The first book I actually found in a little free library when I was up there, and it's called Godzilla, and it's basically just a little art zine that's based around Godzilla. There's a lot of really cute art that's done from a variety of different artists about him. I just picked this up because it was really, really cute, and I think I'm probably going to eventually put this in a little free library in my area instead. But I just wanted to show you it while I still had it in my possession. The next book that I got is Six of Crows. So me and my fiance decided to watch the Shadow and Bone Netflix series, and we both really enjoyed it. But I kind of just want to continue the Shadow and Bone plot line as it's told in the TV show as opposed to reading the books of it. But I really enjoyed the Crow characters, and I wanted to see the original context of their story by reading the book. And this is a good book because it's also one that, since my fiance has the context of the TV show, she can go in and probably enjoy it just as much as I will. And the other book that I got when I was in Salem is House of Leaves. And this book is another really, really big boy, and currently my fiance is reading it, so this is her bookmark over here. This book has been dubbed the scariest book of all time. At least that's how I've often seen it described in people who hold this book on their channel. It's kind of a book within a book within a book because it's about a character who is reading a review of a fictional movie that is a documentary about a strange house that is bigger on the inside. And it's following almost 3 timelines: the experience of the people living in the house, the man who wrote the review of the movie, and then the person who is reading the review in present day. Another really interesting thing about it is that often we'll have extremely strange like spacing, as you can see, where the text is going all with which way to kind of be distorted and creepy. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to pick this up. At the point that my fiance is at, it's pretty still early on, and she said that nothing super creepy has happened yet, but I'm definitely interested in seeing how this develops. Okay, so the last set of books are ones I bought for myself for my birthday, as well as ones that I got for my parents for my birthday. I basically went to Barnes & Noble and then just looked at some ones that I had on my wish list for a while. So the first one here is In Deeper Waters. This book I basically got because I have heard it described as being very similar to Gentleman's Guide. I think it's kind of a similar plotline involving pirates and has more of a pronounced magical element. And also this cover is absolutely beautiful, and just like the whole like vibe of this hardback I'm really liking. I want to pick this up soon. I don't think it will be too hard for me to blast through this, especially if I find the story just as engaging as I did A Gentleman's Guide. The next book that I got for myself is A Dark and Hollow Star. This book I saw on other people's TBRs and like book hauls, and I was just so taken aback by how beautiful the cover was. This illustration is just like so beautiful to me, like just how dynamic and like intense the lighting is. So this kind of was a little bit of a cover buy for me. But I also know that it has a majority queer cast. I'm pretty sure the 4 main characters are all queer in some way, so that is another big plus for me. And yeah, this is just a kind of YA dark fantasy about a bunch of different fairy courts. That's the general idea of what I know is going on. As you can tell probably from this illustration though, that the fairies are not as cutesy as you normally would imagine. It's a little bit of a chunkier book, and I think it's also the start of a series, so hopefully I enjoy it so that I can pick up the other ones in the future. The next book that I got is Axiom's End. This book I got basically because Lindsay Ellis wrote it, and I'm a big fan of her YouTube channel. This book is a sci-fi that's set in 2007, and it's basically about a girl who becomes a like emissary and spokesperson for a group of aliens that have been previously hidden from the general public by the government. I basically wanted to read this book all of this year, and I finally got around to buying a copy, and now the sequel is actually out, so I definitely have to get around sooner rather than later to read this. And the last book in my book haul is this copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray. This is one of the Flexbound Barnes & Noble editions, and it's really beautiful. I've been trying to find really good, what I would consider like perfect definitive editions of classics that I like. And I really do like this line from Barnes & Noble. I have another book from this set as well. And I thought this one was just really pretty. It has these really nice green sprayed edges. And just the overall feel of this book is really nice. This book I'm probably going to be reading sooner rather than later because my fiance was also interested in reading it. And we have some friends that already had a copy, so we're probably going to do a little mini book club between us. I don't really know how much into the plot I need to get into, but it's basically about a man named Dorian Gray who has a portrait done of himself by his friend, and he wishes that he will always be as young and beautiful as he is in the photo. And it definitely reflects the themes in Gothic literature I like the most, which is about man's hubris and revealing one's true inner nature. Okay, so that was all of the books that I wanted to show you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you did in the comments down below. I hopefully will be back making more regular content in the near future, so please consider subscribing if you're not already. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!